Hey guys, Lunch Money Comics here. Me and Jack are at His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts, where they're having a gigantic sale. There's a lot of familiar faces inside. Let's go find some comic books. Get some good stuff? Lots of goodies. Keep looking. So that was one of the best comic book sales I've ever been to. We got some really great comic books for a really great price. Saw a lot of familiar faces, people we've met, locally, but also people from the YouTube channel. People have commented. So really great comic sale. We got a gigantic stack of comic books. Let's go home and talk about what we got. Wow. Okay, you will have noticed there wasn't that much footage of the actual comic book sale, and there are a couple of good reasons for that. One, this was quite simply the best comic book sale I've ever been to. The books were great, the deals were even better, and there was just a great atmosphere in there, guys. There was a ton of local, comic book collectors, local comic book dealers, and I even met a couple people who watch the channel. So shout out to Ben and to Josh and his daughter. Great to meet you guys. So honestly, I was just too distracted. I was having a great time chatting with everyone and buying comic books. I just didn't take much footage. But that's a good thing because you might have been able to tell from the thumbnail, we got a huge comic book haul, and I want to make sure we have enough time to show you guys what we got because it's pretty great. On top of all of that, I want to do another free comic book giveaway. Back when I did my 2,000 subscriber giveaway, I mentioned if I hit 3,000 subscribers, I would do it again. Well, thanks to all of you during the 2,000 subscriber giveaway, I hit that 3,000 subscriber milestone. So I have more comic books to give away to one of my lucky viewers. You'll want to stay tuned until the end to see how you can win them. Before I get started, go down, hit that like button, leave me a comment, feel free to subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Let's see some comic books. Let me start with the briefest of setups. It's the week before Christmas. I had just posted my 2,000 subscriber giveaway where I gave away comic books from His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And right after I posted that, His and Her Comics posted on Facebook that they got new t-shirts in. This one right here. So really cool t-shirt, right? I wanted this t-shirt, for the giveaway, but also, any subsequent videos where I was up there. So I went up to Greenfield just to get the t-shirt. But of course, guys, if you're in a comic book store, especially one as cool as His and Her Comics, you start looking at comic books. Now, I had just posted a few weeks prior to that, another video where I picked up an awesome comic book that I raved about on my channel, and it's this, Daredevil number 43. And I absolutely love this book simply because of the awesome cover by Jack Kirby, where Captain America looks like he's sort of popping off the page right at the reader. Well, one of my viewers down in the comments said, hey, you know what a great companion comic book is for that one? It's Captain America 106. So I looked the book up, absolutely agreed. It was awesome. And so I put it on my wish list on my phone. So here I am at His and Her Comics, looking at comic books, decided to check my wish list, and I saw my brand new entry right there, went to the Captain America box, and a few comic books in, sure enough, there it was, Captain America 106. It's from 1968, written by Stan Lee, of course, art by Jack Kirby. Another sort of Captain America popping off the page, forced perspective. Very cool book. And I have to admit, whoever left me that comment, you were absolutely right. It is a fantastic companion piece to the Daredevil book. Very, very cool. Thank you guys so much for the suggestions you lead me for comic book collecting. So, I went up to the front counter. I had my t-shirt. He sold me this book really cheap. I think it was like $19. And I said to him, hey, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And then the owner said, well, aren't you going to be back next week? And I said, for what? He's like, for the big year-end blowout sale. And I didn't even know about it. And he handed me a flyer. I'll put it next to me. And in addition to putting in lots of $1 comic book boxes out there, over the 3-day sale, every comic book in the store was discounted. So anything that was under $5 was by default $1. Anything under $11 was $3.50. Anything under $19 was $6, etc., etc. You know, even the big wall books were discounted. So it just seemed like an incredible sale. So it was the week between Christmas and New Year's. I had the week off. My son was off from school. I said, we will absolutely be there. So we went on the very first day of the sale, right when it opened, and that was the footage you saw. So like I said, I got a huge stack of comic books ranging all the way from those dollar books all the way up to some pretty big ones. But the only thing better than the books I got were the deals I got. Guys, some of these deals are absolutely insane. So I'm gonna work my way up from the books I got for $1 all the way up to the bigger ones. Okay, let's go through these quickly. First up is Captain America number 334 from 1987. This is the second appearance of John Walker as Captain America and the first appearance of Lamar Hoskins as the new Bucky. Lamar Hoskins would later become Battlestar, and of course both of these characters appeared in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. Very cool. The next one's another Captain America book. This is Captain America number 337. This is the first appearance of Steve Rogers in his new costume, which would become the U.S. agent costume that John Walker would eventually wear. This is an homage cover to Avengers number 4, when Cap is revived in the Silver Age and joins the Avengers. But, you know, the people around him are decidedly not A-tier characters, besides Falcon. He's great. We also have Nomad down here, and one of my favorite kind of dumb superheroes, D-Man, Demolition Man, right here. Not Wolverine. So I thought this was pretty cool. It's also the premiere of a whole bunch of like snake-themed bad guys, like a new iteration of the Serpent Society. First appearances, I guess. There we go. Next up is a book my son actually found. This is Black Panther number 1 from a limited series from 1988. I don't know much about it, but it's a really cool looking cover. Thought my son thought it looked pretty cool. Next up, guys, I talk about this. I love dumb villains, but I also love really dumb superheroes. This one definitely fits the bill. So this is Marvel Premiere number 35 featuring 3D Man. It's from 1977, and this is the first appearance of the character 3D Man. Now, this is a really dumb character, guys. The original intent of this book evidently was they wanted the whole comic book to be in stereoscopic 3D, but then the Marvel editors found out how much it was going to cost and decided not to. They said, just draw a guy to kind of look 3D. And the story behind it, it takes place in the 50s. There's two brothers. One of them goes through like a scientific accident and becomes a two-dimensional being. And the brother can summon him into 3 dimensions by putting on glasses and thinking really hard. I'm not making this up. So I got a book I recently talked about, Regrettable Superheroes. 3D Man is definitely in there. Definitely one of the dumber ones, which is why I absolutely love this book. It's also in great shape. Excellent looking book. Thought it was pretty cool to talk about. And lastly, I got 4 X-Men books. Now, I've talked in the past about how much I love the X-Men. I'm sort of filling in the entire Chris Claremont X-Men run. But what I do is I fill in storylines first. And right now I'm working on the Inferno storyline, which stretches not only over the X-Men books, but all of the X titles. So really quick, here we go. We got number 340. We got number 341. I believe this is the origin of Madeline Pryor herself. You see right there, Goblin Queen right on the cover. We have number 342. And 343. Very cool with Mr. Sinister looming in the background there. So all of those books were either in the dollar bin or they had a price tag of $5 or less. They default to $1. So these next ones here were listed at $11 or less. So they were $3.50 each. First up, Uncanny X-Men number 196. The only claim to fame here is that there's a really bad word that is uncensored, but I also need it for my run. So there we go. Next up, we have Uncanny X-Men number 208. The claim to fame in this one is that evidently it's the first time Omega mutants are discussed, or at least the word is thrown out there in regards to really powerful mutants. I really like it because it's a great cover. It shows the X-Men fighting, it looks like the Hellfire Club or a later iteration of the Hellfire Club. You see Selene, the Black Queen right there, and you have Nimrod, the Super Sentinel, looming over the background. And then we have this one. This is Uncanny X-Men number 186 from 1984. And if you were to look this up, like the significance of it, you know, on say like Key Collector, it would say one thing. It would say that it is the first cover appearance of Forge, who first appeared a few issues prior to this. But that betrays the significance of this book, and it's sort of why you get in dangerous territory just looking at, you know, key issues. What if I was to tell you that in Chris Claremont's entire 17-year run on X-Men, this is one of his best written and well-received books ever? And it might also surprise you if I told you that it's really just two people talking. The whole thing. Yeah, there is a B story with Rogue fighting, you know, shape-shifting aliens, but for the most part, it's just a conversation between Storm and Forge in his penthouse apartment, I think in Dallas, Texas. And the reason why it's so important is that in the issue prior to this, Storm had been depowered. There was a weapon that could take away the superpowers of superheroes, and it was aimed at Rogue. Storm threw herself in the way and got hit, and she loses her powers. Forge saves her. But With Storm being depowered, she loses her identity. She loses her will to live. She is so despondent, she can't even get out of bed. And it's basically Forge, again, brand new character, trying to, nurse her back to health. And as the story progresses, she starts coming to a little bit more. Forge starts, telling a little bit of his backstory about how he suffered great loss. In Vietnam, he lost his leg and his hand, and he had hit absolute rock bottom, and he climbed back himself. And they start actually sort of falling in love. And it's a very complex character study that ends up having the big climax at the end when you find out, or Storm finds out, that the weapon that depowered her was invented by Forge. And he felt immense guilt throughout this book. It's a fantastic book. But what really kicks it up a notch, guys, is the art. The art is by Barry Windsor Smith, and he has a very cool painted style. And you would think two people talking in an apartment would be very boring, and it could be. No matter how good the writing is, it could be kind of boring, except the visuals are fantastic. Forge's apartment is full of holographic machinery, so he can change the walls and the floors and even overlay memories and flashbacks over the setting. So it's a really cool way of sort of telling the story. It's not just two people talking. You're seeing memories sort of flood forward, and you're seeing sort of, the floors and walls disappear and giving sense of depth and space you normally wouldn't get if they were just in a house somewhere. So the art by Barry Windsor Smith, along with Chris Claremont's incredible writing, makes this book fantastic. There was actually a sequel to it. I think it was number 198. They call it Life, Death, Part 2. I actually haven't read that one, even though I own it. But I also want to point this out. You don't need to take my word for about how good this is. Recently, I talked about a book I got. It's Marvel's 100 Greatest Comics. And this whole book is full of, really big, notable books. And a lot of the X-Men books that are in here are obvious. They're X-Men #1. They're giant-size X-Men #1. But this book is in there. This is a book you can get in dollar bins, guys, and it is acknowledged by a lot of people to be just one of the best Chris Claremont books ever written, and it shows up on the top 100 list. So this is actually the second copy of this comic book I own. I picked this one up because it's in slightly better condition than my other one, but mostly because I wanted to talk about it on the channel. I think if you're a Chris Claremont fan, this is a must-read. And let me know down in the comments, anyone who has read this, what your thoughts are. If you want to read it, I'm pretty sure you can find it for only a couple dollars at your local comic book store. I will caution, it might not be for everybody. There's some pretty heavy moments in this book. I just think it's a really good example, guys. You don't need to just collect key issues. Sometimes just having a really great story and really great art makes it a worthy addition to your collection. So these next two comic books were originally priced at $11 to $19, so I got them for $6 each with the sale. First up is the Uncanny X-Men number 200. The claim to fame on this one is that Magneto becomes the headmaster of Xavier's school. I believe it's the premiere of his new costume, which I definitely do not like. The other one is very cool. This is Uncanny X-Men number 126 from 1979. There's a minor significance here. It's the first appearance of Proteus, but the biggest reason I wanted this is you have this amazing Dave Cockrum cover of my favorite iteration of the X-Men. Not in the best shape, couple color-breaking folds, and there's a little bit of a skew on the pages here, but still an awesome, awesome looking book for $6. So these next four comic books were originally priced at $19 to $30, so I got them for $11 each. Pretty good. A few more X-Men books to show you. First up, number 158. Significance here, it's the second appearance of Rogue. Fun little fact there. Then we have X-Men number 161. Significance here is that you find out a little bit more about Magneto's backstory, specifically how Professor X and Magneto first met. In the story, the X-Men had just fought the alien brood. Professor X has an alien embryo inside of him. He's unconscious, having fever dreams, psychic dreams, and he's remembering when he first met Magneto. So for people who love the X-Men, this is a great book because you find out how these two really close friends and huge X-Men characters first met. Pretty great. Hey, this is for you DC fans out there. There's a lot of really great Batman comic books at His and Her Comics, and a lot of really good Silver Age ones that I thought were awesome. But this one jumped out to me more than the other ones. This is Batman number 201. It's from 1968. Cover art by Irv Norvik and Gaspar Saladino. And I don't know if it has any significance. I just got it because I thought the cover was amazing, the colors are great, and it's in really good shape for a Silver Age Batman book. Thought it was awesome. Absolutely had to have this. So this next comic book was actually picked up by my son. Everyone knows what this one is. This is Spider-Man 1 from 1990, the Todd McFarlane run. This is the silver variant, still in the poly bag. The original price was $25 to $30, so we got it for $11. Okay, now we're getting to the really good deals. Very recently on my channel, I bought two very famous DC comic books from the 1980s. I'm just going to show them to you right now. They were Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, The Death of Supergirl, and Crisis on Infinite Earths number 8, The Death of Barry Allen's Flash. Now, I talk a lot more about it in that video, but the short version is Crisis on Infinite Earths is a 12-part series written in 1985 by Marv Wolfman, drawn by George Perez. The idea behind it was that they were taking the huge DC multiverse, multiple timelines, multiple characters, multiple Earths, and basically consolidating them all into one unified DC universe. So very seminal event, huge DC Comics crossover in the mid-'80s. And one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to collect more DC and read more DC. So I said at the time, I would start with these two famous keys and I would build out the rest of this series, the other 10 issues, and read them. And that would be like a fun thing to do over the winter. Not only 2 days after I bought these, I was up in His and Her Comics in Greenfield, and yeah, there's a little section that he has for like limited series and, you know, anthologies. I was over there and I saw all 12 issues packaged all as one. And he already had them on sale. In fact, this is the bag that they were in. It said the original price was $120, and he had it on sale for $70. So I'm there on the day of the sale, and I asked him, you know, was this the sale price? He said, no, that's the price he already had it being for sale. So I said, well, how much is it? And he said, for you, $50. So I got all 12 issues for $50, guys. What an incredible deal. So I'm pretty happy to have very quickly, in a matter of days, finished my goal of getting the entire series here. But yeah, I'm excited to also read these as well. But you do see in the middle of them, we do have number 7 and number 8. And these are all, you know, like mid to upper grade. They're in pretty good shape, actually. So very happy to get these. What a great deal, guys, huh? But I still have these two. So I started thinking, well, what am I going to do with these? If you watched that video where I talked about these, I said I was going to do something very special with them. And I do. You're going to have to stick around to the end of the video to see what I'm doing with these. So I have this huge stack of comic books I'm ready to pay for. I walk up to the counter, and I had one more book sitting on top, and the owner, Nishan, looked at it and said, hey, I have a higher grade version of that behind me. Do you want to see it? I said, sure, and it's this one. This is X-Men number 108. The significance here is that it's the first John Byrne work on the X-Men title, and therefore the first collaboration between John Byrne and Chris Claremont, my favorite comic writing duo of all time. So it's a book I've always wanted. The one I already had was a very low-grade version, and this one was much higher grade, and he had a sticker price of $80 on it. So even with the sale, it was like $60 or something like that. Now, believe it or not, despite the fact I had a stack of comic books, I was actually trying to not spend that much money. There was a comic book show coming up that weekend, and I was trying to be responsible and save all my cash. In retrospect, I should have just bought all the comic books in the store. I mean, the deal was that good. So I thought I was being responsible and said, you know, honestly, I'm just going to keep this stack here. I'll come back for this at a later time. I don't need it right now. So the total came to $116 for all the other books. Again, sticker price on this was $80. He looked at the books that were there, slaps this down in front of me and says, how about $150 for everything? Which means I got this $80 book for $34. So pretty great deal. Nishan drives a very easy bargain sometimes. I was very happy to pay that for a high-grade copy of this book, especially since I'm such a Claremont and Byrne fan and just an X-Men fan in general. So me and Jack leave, we go all the way home, you know, we put all the comic books out on the table, we take a couple pictures, I post one to Instagram, and then all of a sudden I realized I forgot something. They weren't just having a sale on comic books at the store, they were having a sale on comic book supplies, namely bags and boards. And I don't need to tell any comic book collectors out there how important it is to have bags and boards, how quickly you go through them. And honestly, they're not cheap. You know, the price on them can add up. And this deal was so good, I really needed them and I forgot. So I said, all right, I guess I'm going to have to go back there. So on the last day of the sale, I drove all the way up there just for bags and boards. Again, I don't want to spend money. I just there for supplies. And I walk in and it's a lot slower. And there's only a couple other people in there. There are other local guys I know as comic book collectors and comic book dealers. Shout out to Larry and the other Josh. So the four of us are talking, you know, and eventually the conversation turns to the books on the wall, the really good books. And, you know, the owner, here he is in the last couple hours of the sale, seeing if there's anything we want, any last second deals that he can offer to us. So we start like picking out like, oh, I'm interested in that one, interested in this one. And he just kept giving us like crazy good deals on them. Eventually it came around to me. He said, Mike, what up here can you not live without? And there was a ton of books I wanted, but there were a couple that jumped out to me. And one is a book that I almost bought this past fall. And the reason I didn't actually get it was because it was graded. Despite the fact that I have all these graded books behind me, I don't love graded books. And even though this was a fantastic deal, I didn't love the way it looked in the slab. There were Newton rings and I didn't really like it. But I still vowed to get this book in the raw at some point in time. So I saw this book up on the shelf and I said, well, I'm interested in that one. And he said, oh, well, the sticker price is $250. I said, oh, okay. And then he put it down on the counter in front of me and said, for you, $100. Like I said, Nishan sometimes makes the deal a little too easy for you. He gave me 60% off. What book am I talking about? It's this one. This is Fantastic Four number 46. It's from 1966, written by, of course, Stan Lee, drawn by Jack Kirby. And this is the second full appearance of the Inhumans, but the first full appearance of Mr. Blackagar Boltigan, aka Black Bolt, King of the Inhumans. I've wanted this book for a long time, guys. The Jack Kirby cover is amazing. Black Bolt is a very cool character in the comic books. I know a lot of people maybe have been first introduced to him in the movie Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness last year. And I think for good or bad, he was probably the most memorable part of that entire movie, even though he wasn't in it very long. You know what I'm talking about. But in the comic books, he is a very cool and very important character, extremely powerful. I've always wanted this book. I love the way it looks. I love the colors on it. And guys, for 60% off the price, I obviously could not say no. It was a deal I could not refuse. So I was happy to get this one. I just kind of laughed about it and said, so much for not spending money, but $100 I thought was a fantastic deal for this book. Let me know down in the comments if you agree. So there was one more book up on the shelf that I wanted, but like I said, I was trying to save money. I was trying to get out of there. But it was an X-Men book. It had a sticker price of $120, but no, I'm going to pass. I don't want it. I got to leave. So I'm walking out the door. I'm at the door, and the owner, Nishan, calls out after me. Hey, Mike, 50% off, $60. I walk back in, sheepishly take out my wallet, put the cash down on the counter. What book am I talking about? It's this one, The Uncanny X-Men number 120, written by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, and this is considered to be the first cameo appearance of the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight. I've always loved Alpha Flight. I used to collect them as a kid. I loved Canada as a kid. That's where my family heritage is from. I went a whole bunch of times when I was little, and I just always have liked the team, and I always wanted their first appearance. Here's the thing. I bought their first appearance this past fall, and it's the very next issue. It's Uncanny X-Men number 121. You see them right there on the cover, duking it out with the X-Men. So, what is this one? Like I said, it's the first cameo appearance, and I don't want to get into the whole, definition of a cameo versus a first appearance. I'll just tell you this. In my opinion, a cameo is when a character shows up on like a panel or two. They're not really part of the story. They're just like a preview for the next book. Here's the thing. Alpha Flight is in this book like from the beginning. They're in it throughout the entire book. They are named. You see them. And there's even a fight at the end of this book between Wolverine and Sasquatch, who's talking to him. That's not a cameo. That is absolutely a first appearance. Now, I get why people like this book maybe a little bit more. They're right there on the cover, and they are the A story. But I tell you guys, this, in my opinion, is absolutely the first appearance of the team Alpha Flight. And hey, if you're not sure which first appearance to get, I guess you can't go wrong getting both. So super happy to now have both first appearances of Alpha Flight. And at that point, having bought these two books, I mercifully ran out of that store before I dropped more money before the upcoming comic book show. So a very special thank you to Nishan at His and Her Comics. Best comic book sale I've ever been to. If you guys are in Western Massachusetts and you want to check out this store, I highly encourage you to do so. I'll make sure to put a link down in the description for the location. You should absolutely check it out. And if you ever do go there, let him know that I sent you. Which finally brings us to our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. Like I said, guys, I did my 2K giveaway about a month ago, and I had an absolute blast doing it. Not only did I like giving away free comics to someone, but I loved reading everyone's comments and engaging with them. So many people played along, and they told me like their favorite comic book characters and favorite comic book series. It was just really cool, and I vowed then and there to keep doing giveaways. I don't want to say too much about the last people who won, but I will say it was a dad who said he watches my channel with his daughter. I sent the books to them, and they sent me a picture back of, him with all of his kids with the comic books, and they were all really, really happy. I will say, though, it was completely random. I even took video of myself, using the random comment picker. It could have gone anywhere in the world. I vowed I would send them international, and I'm keeping that rule alive as well. So what books am I going to give away for my 3,000 subscriber giveaway? Two of them, you guys already know. They are these two, Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7 and number 8, Death of Supergirl, Death of Barry Allen Flash. I just got the whole series. I don't need these ones anymore, so it seems like a very fitting thing to do to give them away as a prize. Now, I like to give away both Marvel and DC comics, just, to mix it up for anyone's taste. And I was kind of looking at these and saw, the theme is death of a hero. So I was trying to think, hey, is there a Marvel book with a death of a notable character? Sure is. So I picked this one. This is Daredevil number 181, and this is some Frank Miller goodness, and this is the death of Elektra. I will say that this is a reader copy, and that's good for whoever wins this because you can and should read it, because this is one of my favorite comic books of all time. This is also a masterclass in motion. Most of this book is fight scenes. It's a fight between Bullseye and Elektra, and then a fight between Daredevil and Bullseye. I mean, panel to panel, the way your eye moves, it looks like these guys are in a fast and brutal fight. The stakes are high, the drama is high, and this is just a fantastically awesome comic book. So I'm very happy to give this one away. However, as I'm looking at these 3 books, I'm thinking, wow, these are a little dark, right? So I know I said I do 3 books. I'm throwing one more in. If I get the Death of Elektra, I'm going to throw in the Resurrection of Elektra when she comes back from the dead. Not that this is a happy book, I'm just pointing that out, but it's a little bit happier than the other ones. So word of caution to anyone like my last winners who have kids, this isn't exactly a kid-friendly book, I wouldn't say. So if you want to win these 4 comic books, here's how you play. First, make sure you're subscribed. I do check. Then go down and leave me a comment. And you can say whatever you want. Just say like, hi, or, hey, I'll give you a task. Tell me your favorite DC hero. Could be a hero or a villain. Whatever you write, just make sure you put the hashtag 3000 at the end of your comment. What that does is it tells me that you want these books and you want me to send these to your house. And that's pretty much it. On January 29th, it's a Sunday, I am going to use a random comment picker to pick one of the comments in this video, and whichever one it picks first, that is going to be the winner. I will put a picture up on that day with the actual winner right there, so you can tell absolutely that you won. That's it. Good luck to whoever wins, and I'm really excited to see which DC characters you like the best. So there you go, guys. An amazing stack of comic books at even more amazing prices, courtesy of His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Special thanks to them, and a very special thanks to all of you for watching, for supporting me, and helping me hit 3,000 subscribers. I couldn't have done it without you. In the meantime, I hope you keep finding comic books in strange and unusual places and in the year-end sales of your local comic book stores. Good luck in the giveaway, and I will see you guys next time.